York that want to be their own boss. A whole lot of them go out, they drive Uber, they drive Lyft and all of that because they want to be their own boss.
Yeah.
And because they want to have absolute control over their time. And because of that, they engage in that.
Okay.
They drive Uber, they drive taxis and all of that. Though they may come and tell you, oh, we make $1,000 a week, we make people inflate
What
things.
they make.
But I never drove taxi or cab. So I'm not really sure. But a whole lot of them will tell you, oh, there is money in it. And quite a number of them, especially the Uber drivers, you see them, they own houses in New York too, which is good, which shows.
All my mind is what I see in the Bronx, in the camera, on the movie, and all that. And I keep telling myself, I don't want to come from Lagos and then I get to go and live in the place where somebody will tell me, oh, Benny, don't wallet here, give me your wallet. Wallet butter. I don't want all those ones, bro. Okay. First of all, let me introduce you to my friend, my own man, the New Yorker, the Donald Trump people. Ladies and gentlemen, meet my friend JB. JB, welcome to Uncle Beno's show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Nice to meet you and nice to be here.
Oh, that sounds so good, man. You got to speak really close to the mic, all right? I want the ladies to hear you, bro. All right, I'm just kidding.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks for coming to the show. It's my pleasure. I don't take this for granted. I know we were going to do this on a live show, but unfortunately, work and hustle. And for me, being the Waka Waka guy that I am, I wasn't available when we were supposed to do the live show. So I said, all right, we're going to record this and then we put it out there. Okay, we want to talk about why are you single? But first, I just want to, I've been dying to learn about New York. There is something about New York that I just can't put my hands on it. But I got to be candid with you. I don't know why I don't want to live in New York, to be honest. When I was living in Nigeria, with all the movies and everything, with the Nollywood pictures and all the things we've got to know about New York, I was thinking, oh, New York is a great place. I want to be there. But to be honest, after a couple of years in America, I don't want to live in New York. I'm sorry. My New Yorker friends, please pardon me. I really don't know much about New York. And that's why I want a brother who has spent a vast majority of his time in New York to talk to me about New York. JB, you are smiling already. All right, JB, tell me, how is life in New York generally from the perspective of somebody who is migrating to New York for the first time?
Well, New York is a very nice place to be. Very beautiful. And it's a place that everyone will want to live and be. I realized that life in New York is basically about what you really want to achieve.
Right.
In terms of your goal, your aspiration in life, what you want, and what you really want to achieve and how soon you want to achieve them. There is all kind of fun in New York. It's a fun place to be. There is all kind of seriousness. There is all kind of can I call it? Like I said, it depends on what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve them.
Right.
If you're focused and you set your goals right, you achieve everything you want to achieve in New York as soon as possible.
Mm.
And there are steps to everything, but then you have a very smooth going steps.
Okay.
If you are really determined, and if you plan yourself right,
Mm.
there are goals that are achievable and that you can really attain in a short period of time.
Okay. Now, I've heard a couple of African guys, especially Nigerian guys, they often told me that, hey, Ben, if you are familiar with Lagos, New York is just like Lagos Island. How true is that?
Yes, it depends on how you look at it. New York is a bigger Lagos in terms of everything. Even the big corporations too, they look up to New York, corporations in New York, to learn from. Yeah, corporations in New York to learn from. That's why you see a whole lot of organizations. They want their staffs to attend trainings. They want their staff to travel abroad to New York, to cities like that, to go and learn about how things are done there.
Mm. Because of the hustle and bustling?
Yes, because of like I said, it's like a bigger Lagos where you learn more things. Lagos is small,
Yeah.
and New York is big. When you look at the mansions, the skyscrapers, and all of that, it's a really bigger Lagos.
All right.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at New York from a different lens. I'm sorry. It seems like you guys have a lot of touts in New York because if New York is the bigger Lagos, then that means you guys have way more touts in New York than Lagos. How would you what would you have to say to that?
Well, for a big and major city like that,
Hmm?
there is always problem of accommodations.
Agreed?
And the problem of accommodation, when you talk about major cities, you always have problems with accommodations, where you see a lot of people being homeless. You see them sleeping on the train. You see them hanging around because of accommodation conditions. Houses are expensive in New York. The government try as much as possible to um, make provisions for a whole lot of people, but humans, you still see them saying, "Oh, I don't want to live in a cage," and all of that.
Yeah.
Government provide shelter for them, and government provide accommodation for people, but still, people being who we are, some people will take it, while a lot of people will not.
Okay. All right. Now, if we have to go back to comparing New York to Lagos, in Lagos, we have neighborhoods and communities and cities in Lagos. And what I mean is that in Lagos, you have areas where the elites created for themselves, e.g., Banana Island, Ikoyi, Lekki, VGC. It used to be VGC, but now I think everything have shifted to Banana Island. So if we're gonna apply that to New York, would you say New York have some communities that are kind of segregated or maybe set aside for the rich and some neighborhoods for the poor? Would you say that?
Yes, we have a part called Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Manhattan is where you see the big boys.
Oh wow.
That's where you see the big boys, and um a studio apartment in Manhattan should cost you nothing less than $6,000, if I'm not mistaken,
6,000?
or more than that.
Six
Yes,
thousand,
six
bro.
thousand dollars. Yeah, a
Ali.
studio apartment, even if not more than that.
Oh wow.
Um, yes, that is a major city. That is the big city in the city.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So, what neighborhood would you say the low income earners will be
Well, we
found
have
more?
places in we have places in Brooklyn that we call East New York.
Mhm.
That's like the low life, the ghetto, Ajegunle of and we have places like,
Brooklyn.
yes, in
Oh,
Brooklyn.
wow.
And we have places like in the Bronx.
Hmm.
The Bronx is more like the Olodi Apapa, the Orile of like a lower level, you know,
Community.
community where you see um
Uh,
guys hanging around and it's
okay. Yeah, I have a picture in my studio right here, the one hanging right there. Do you want to tell me where that is in New York? In
yeah,
fact, that picture want me to visit New York.
yeah, that picture is a part of
Yeah,
Manhattan. That picture is a part of Manhattan. And
really?
yeah, that is how beautiful
What do they
Manhattan
call
is.
the junction?
That looks like Times Square,
All right.
right? That looks like Times Square. So
Wow.
it's a very nice and beautiful place to be.
All right, cool. Cool. At least I think you already took me to New York already. Okay, what's the nightlife like in New York?
Oh, nightlife in New York. If you are a New Yorker, you need to understand and know how to move around at night because there's no how. Um, you just have to learn it. You have train 24 hours, you have buses 24 hours, everything 24 hours. In fact, on your street,
Mhm.
on the corner of your street, you can still get some groceries at about 4 a.m. in the morning. You can
Really?
still get some things late nights, anything you want, just at the corner of your house.
Okay, how about concerns for safety? How safe is New York at night?
That is a very good question. Um, like I said, a major city have its own concern.
Yes.
And the mayor of New York now place police officers in almost all blocks in New York.
For
At
real?
least you see two of two police officers in each blocks in Brooklyn, New York. And the same thing applies in Queens as well. You see police officers all over the place. Apart from that, you see patrols almost every minute. So yes, there are still, because of the kind of city it is, there are still a lot of security challenges. We still see gunshots here and there and all of that. And when that happens, in less than 5 minutes, I bet you see over 200 police cars around you in less than 5 minutes
Wow.
to carry out investigations and all of that. So a lot of security measures have been put in place to make sure everything goes in order.
So, would you say it's really safe to live in New York? And there's a reason why I asked that question. Ever since you came over to Texas, you'll be going back and forth, back and forth. It's like almost every weekend you are back in New York, and then you are back here again. And I kept asking you, dude, why would you just fly all the way to New York on Fridays and to come back Sunday evening to resume work on Monday? What's going on?
Something must move a man.
All right, that sounds good. Now let me ask you another question. Let me ask you another question about New York. I'm still looking for more videos of New York. This one is in the Bronx. I don't know what's going on with this lady right here, but here is what I want to ask you again about New York. In terms of finances, for an immigrant who just relocated from Africa to United States and they choose New York as their state of residence, would you advise them, because now you've lived in Texas and you, of course, you live all your days in America, in New York. When you compare the two states, where would you advise them to go?
Well, like I said initially, it depends on your purpose.
Okay.
Well, some of us came into United States with different intentions. But in my own case, you need to prioritize yourself.
Okay.
New York is a very good place for you to stay as an immigrant in terms of being able to get something to do, being able to get
Employment,
employment, being able
to
to
develop yourself,
develop
and
yourself and all of that. And because the city have a lot of packages that favors immigrants.
oh,
Yes.
never thought of that, yo.
In terms of medical, you can easily get medical despite the fact that you're an immigrant.
Oh wow.
Medical insurance.
Hey,
You can get that. Medical insurance.
oh,
You
sorry.
can get that.
Is New York part of the sanctuary cities or state or something? Okay, I see what you're saying.
So that is a major thing in United States. Health insurance is a number one thing.
yeah.
You get that for free. And there's freedom of movement in New York. You don't really need to have a car to move around. That is by choice if you want to. Compared to every other state that you need to have a car and an insurance before you can move around. So having a car in New York is not a basic need. It's more like a luxury.
Are you kidding me?
Because the train system is very efficient and effective. The bus system is very good. So you move everywhere around in New York with city buses and all of that.
So that
makes it easy.
And that means a lot of people who live in New York, they don't have vehicles.
Yeah,
their own personal vehicles.
You can easily commute to work and come back home.
Wow.
Car insurance is very expensive in New York. I can categorically tell you that sometimes your car insurance is more than your weekly paycheck. Just one car insurance.
And why is that?
Well, because New York is a major city.
I know.
Things are expensive in New York. And the nature of people's activities moving around in New York, and that makes insurance company rated to a high risk high risk states and all of that. So with that, it makes the cost of insurance in New York to be more expensive. And secondly, we don't really have parking space. You park your car on the street. Sometimes before you come, you see your 4 tires are gone. And that is particular in the Bronx. You see them do that in the Bronx.
That's the Agbiru style.
Oh, exactly.
The touting.
Or better still, you park your car on the street. By the time you're coming in the morning, it's already boggled.
Jesus.
So, and who is responsible for that? Insurance company. They have to pay. So because of that, the high risk crime, the crime in New York is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So it's one of the factors that
contributed to people not to have
affects the cost of insurance, which a lot of people cannot really afford. And more so, because we have a very good transport system.
Yeah.
So having a car is not really necessary. Because the transport system is very, very good. You can commute to work, commute to school, commute to anywhere around without so much hustle.
I see that. So, as we're rounding up this segment, I just want to ask you a question. As somebody who started life in United States in New York, and you were able to navigate your way to where you are right now, glory be to God. What would you advise newcomers in terms of where to live in New York? What borough? I think you guys call it, is it borough or district? How do you
Boroughs,
call it?
yeah, boroughs.
Boroughs, right? Okay. So what boroughs would you advise a newcomer to stay? If you're gonna like say, okay, you know what, if you really want to stay in New York, considering employment, mobility, accommodation, and pay rate, what part of New York would you recommend?
Well, my acting may be too expensive for somebody that just came into United States.
Okay.
Brooklyn is good.
Was like the average.
I started in Brooklyn, but I eventually moved out of Brooklyn to Queens because I can't deal with that.
Wow.
So,
No. You just started something right now, bro. How is life in Brooklyn? Is it like a jegule kind of lifestyle? Or what?
well, it depends on the part of Brooklyn.
All right.
Yeah, it depends on the part of Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the normal, still a little bit not too rough and not too
Not too
quiet
calm.
and all of that. But Queens is a little bit quiet and laid back than Brooklyn.
Okay.
Bronx is not at all. So Bronx is a no for me, except for somebody that is used to the lifestyle in Mushin, the
Ajegule.
lifestyle in Ajegunle,
Wow.
and all that, where you see guys hanging out on the street, smoking weed every day,
Oh.
hustling, selling weeds and all of that. They don't care.
So are you saying Bronx is the place where we see those guys who say, hey, y'all, give me your wallet, man. I need your wallet. Would you describe Brooklyn as that type of place?
Well, Bronx is more like that.
Okay, Bronx is more like not
Yes, Brooklyn is
Okay.
you need to wash.
Shine your
As
eye.
in shine your eye.
Oh,
Watch
boy.
well,
Oh
if
boy.
if you are not very careful,
Yeah.
boy is full there.
Oh, so in other words, for somebody who is coming newly, who just want to settle down for the first time, Brooklyn is okay.
Brooklyn is okay.
Okay.
But you need to
So,
be very careful.
like,
But Queens is more calm and serene for you to learn about the environment.
all right. So, if we're gonna put numbers to this conversation, so like, how much should somebody make if they want to live in Brooklyn?
Well,
Average.
remember that this person is an immigrant.
Yeah.
And the person may not really have what it takes for him to get a standard or a good job.
Good job. Yeah, I
right?
get it.
But then, because of the city, you can as well just get you can get a job that should be enough for you to pay your rent, pay your bills, and still keep a little bit of money.
So, if you have to put a number, what would that be?
Basically, your 2 weeks paycheck should be able to pay your rent.
Okay.
While other 2 weeks paycheck, you could use it to get every other thing. So I just put it like that because that would determine, for instance, now if you're paid like the minimum wage,
Yeah.
and you work 40 hours for 2 weeks, at least you should be able to pay your rent.
I see what you're
Your
saying.
rent for the whole month. Your rent for the whole month. But in some other places, in some other states, you don't really have to put in your 2 weeks paycheck for that.
Yeah, they do everywhere
That even in New York, that is if you are the type that you know how to
to manage.
to manage yourself.
You are prudent with
You
finances
are
and all that.
prudent with
Okay.
finances and all of that.
Um. So, would you say, okay, what's like the average rent in Brooklyn?
Mm. Right now, a 2 bedroom should go for like 2,600.
2,600,
Yes.
2 bedroom.
Yes.
Wow.
For 2,600, 2,800. A
Okay.
studio 1 bedroom now goes for like 2,018.
So, if I want to link that to the previous question regarding how much someone who want to reside in Brooklyn should have. So, if I have to go by your 2 weeks, pay your rent analysis, then that means the person should earn around $5,000 to $6,000 every month.
Well, these are two different scenarios.
Okay.
I'm talking about a single guy that comes that just wanted a room to lay his head,
Okay. Okay.
right? And if he get probably maybe is able to get someone to share with, and
Okay.
they got a like 2 bedroom.
Well, like living like a
So
roommate.
a roommate, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So he can probably like get like 600-700 on a weekly basis,
Okay. So
and
that's like 1,400 in
that's
two
like
weeks.
12-1400,
Yeah.
which goes to the same thing I just told you, that 2 weeks paycheck should be able to
Take
take care
care
of
of.
his rent.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. I see what you come from, and I like that. Let's talk about. I know you don't do taxi or something in New York, or was there any time you ever drove taxi cab? Because I know a lot of Africans drove cabs in New York, and some of them have horrible tales to tell. Would you advise that people, especially Africans who reside in New York, for starters, would you advise them to consider taxi cab as employment option?
Well, it all depends.
Okay.
In New York, to be honest with you, this is what guys do. We have what we call dollar cab.
Hmm.
The dollar cab, a whole lot of us undocumented Africans, they do it because it's more
Okay.
like a good option for them. You get your cash, they make substantial money from it, but with bitter stories.
Yeah.
Then for those that are documented that are in New York that want to be their own boss, a whole lot of them they go out, they drive Uber, they drive Lyft and all of that because they want to be their own boss.
Yeah.
And because they want to have absolute control over their time. And because of that, they engage in that. They
Okay.
drive Uber, they drive taxis and all of that. Though they may come and tell you, "Oh, we make $1,000 a week. We make they people inflate
What they
things."
make.
But I never drove taxi or cab, so I'm not really sure. But a
Yeah.
whole lot of them will tell you, "Oh, there is money in it," and quite a number of them, especially the Uber drivers, you see them,
Yeah.
they own houses in New York too, which is good,
Wow.
which shows that the Uber business, taxi, yellow cab, and all of that
Really
that
paid
we
off.
have,
Wow.
they're really making good money from it. Because
Okay.
being a major city, a
Yeah.
whole lot of people don't drive.
Okay, let's go to us. Wow, we've done 30 minutes already, man. This New York conversation, oh man, I can stay on this thing forever. I'm fascinated about New York.
There's a lot to say about it.
Remember, I told you one weekend where you go to New York, I'm just gonna call my baby and say, "Babe, we're going to New York." Honestly, I've told baby we're gonna do that New York thing. We just want to come and hang around in New York for at least 4 days to 1 week.
I'll tell you, even a whole lot of Americans that live down south, that live here in Texas, North Carolina, other places,
Yeah.
They see New York as a major city. You'll be so surprised that an old man will tell you, I want to visit New York so
Yeah, me
bad.
too. Me
I want to
too.
visit New York so bad. That is, they want to go to the city and see what life is about in the
Yeah.
city.
I'm
So it's a
I'm
good
looking at
option.
it on the screen right
Yeah.
now. New York looks really, really good.
It
Yeah.
is. It
New
looks
York
good.
looks really good.
And they have there's a lot of fun place to be in New York.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun place to be in New York.
I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like it. But then I think you just changed my perspective, my perception of New York. Because when I think about New York, all my mind is what I see in the Bronx, in the camera, on the movie, and all that. And I keep telling myself, I don't want to come from Lagos and then I get to go and live in the place where somebody will tell me, oh, Benny, your wallet here, give me your wallet. Butter. I don't want all those ones, bro. Okay. Thank you very much. Real quick before we move to why are you single? Let me just ask you this. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna come back, guys. In the next segment, we're gonna talk about why my friend is single. I want to know why this guy never wife all these fine women with they available for New York. All right, hold on. Stay with me, guys. We'll be right back.